This is the anthem. Here's what you came for.
Welcome to the Disney Beat, a podcast brought to you by thedisinsider.com. My name is Sean Nyberg, and I will be covering all of the Disney headlines to keep you informed as you start your week. Hello there, this is Sean Nyberg, and this podcast is being recorded on the evening of Sunday, January 17th, 2021. All right, let's dive into the news. This has been a huge week for Disney news, so buckle up. Unfortunately, though, we're going to start off with some sad news as two people connected to the Disney company passed away this past week. The first was Dale Bear, an animator for the Walt Disney Company. He died this Friday at age 70. Bear has worked on a large number of Disney projects, including The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, The Black Cauldron, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Treasure Planet, and Moana. He was the recipient of many awards throughout his lifetime, including a 2001 Annie Award. His final project, Bob's Burger, the movie, will be released later this year. Rennie Bardot also passed away this month due to complications with COVID-19 at the age of 86. Bardot was Disney's chief photographer and captured most of the most iconic images in Disney history. Bardot began working as a photographer in Disneyland in 1959 and stayed there for 40 years, capturing some of Walt Disney's most famous photos within Disneyland, along with powerful leaders who visited the park, which include Emperor Hirohito of Japan, Prime Minister Nehru of India, and a number of U.S. presidents. Both of these men have contributed immensely to Disney's growth and success, and they will be missed. So, moving on to parks news, a number of major announcements rocked both coasts this week. Earlier in the week, Walt Disney World announced that at some point in 2021, they will be ending their Magic Express service. This is the complimentary shuttle that took guests from the Orlando International Airport directly to the Disney Hotel. This was a very popular service that caused many to pick the more expensive Disney resorts compared to the cheaper off-site hotels. The only reason given was that the widespread use of rideshare services, the options for guests flying into Orlando International have greatly expanded compared to when they launched the service nearly 2 decades ago. So basically what they're saying is now that we have, Uber and Lyft, people can get to the hotels a lot easier. I mean, that's what they said, but, there's a lot of issues that don't get discussed, like contracts with the bus or the people who provided the service. Just are they really seeing the benefit? Have they done? I'm sure they've done a lot of studies to see if this, if losing this service would actually keep people from going to, so it's all cost benefit, and that's really the reason. It's not because we have Uber and Lyft, but that's what they said. But we do know that there's been no specific date given for closing of the service, but most expect that it will end at the end of 2021. So not anytime soon, but just at the end of this year at some point. A new high-speed rail option will be coming to Florida in early 2022, and that will provide a stop in Disney Springs. While this service is not as convenient as the Magical Express, as it will drop you off in Disney Springs and not right to your hotel door, and it will certainly not be free, but it will be yet another option for guests flying in from out of town. So add that to your Uber and Lyft, or your private taxi, your limo, or just however else you can maybe get there. But the Magical Express will be coming to an end at the end of this current year. We're actually in 2021, so this year. The Magical Express announcement was released on the same day as another announcement in Walt Disney World about upcoming changes to the Magic Hour, which is a benefit afforded to on-property resort guests. So another benefit that was afforded to people who stayed at the Disney hotels or the Disney World resorts, right? And so the previous Magic Hour benefit allowed guests to enter one of the parks an hour early or stay an hour or more sometimes after the park closed. This early entry or late exit would rotate between the 4 parks throughout the week, meaning only one park would allow for the benefit, often causing a bit of a bottleneck at whichever park was selected that day. The change will do two things. First of all, it will shorten the current 1 hour benefit down to 30 minutes, but it will be available at all 4 parks every day of the week. So the time frame will be cut in half, which is sad, boo. But guests will be able to decide for themselves which park they want to enter early and not be beholden to the schedule set by Disney. Both of these changes affect the benefits afforded to guests staying at the Disney hotels. These guests are huge revenue generators for the parks, so the elimination of one benefit, the Magical Express, and the altering of another benefit, shortening the Magic Hour, might cause some guests to pick the cheaper off-site locations. Personally, as I'm sure you are all just wondering, what does Sean Nyberg think about this? Personally, I think the change to the extra Magic Hour is great. Of course, I would prefer if it stayed an extra hour. Honestly, I would prefer if it was changed to 2 hours, 3 or 4 hours, obviously, right? I want as many hours as I can get. So yes, the shortening of 1 hour to 30 minutes is a bummer, but for me, that is largely outweighed by them making it available at all 4 parks on every day of the week. I am personally a planner, and I did not like being shackled to start my day in one park that the extra Magic Hour was available. Now the guests will have freedom to start their day wherever they want, and that will also cause the crowds to be dispersed more evenly throughout the 4 parks. So it is nice to have the full hour. We get that down in Disneyland, which I go to often, and it's just nice, right? Because you can you not only get one big ride in at Rope Drop, but you can get 2 or 3 and not have to sprint between them. Like, you can get 2 or 3 by being very casual, and if you do it right, like at Disney California Adventure, we can get 5 or 6 rides in before they open it up to the public. So again, I'm just talking about Disneyland because that's where I go, but this change from an hour to half an hour is Disney World. Again, you get the two things, right? They shorten it from an hour to 30 minutes, which is bad, but they also at the same time make it available all 4 parks every day, which is good. So just something they're doing. I think it's smart also to spread out the guests, because if you're just visiting, and let's say you're not staying on site, or you live down in the area and you just are driving over, and you show up to Magic Kingdom, which is, the main castle park, and you didn't know that was the Magic Hour morning for everyone staying at the resorts. And suddenly that park is just packed in the morning, where, versus if you went to Magic Kingdom and the Magic Hour was at Animal Kingdom, then that would be packed in the morning. And so it just really spreads guests out. It gives the guests freedom, but that's the good thing. At the same time, they're pulling back the hour to 30 minutes. So, I think that's enough probably to get like a big e-ticket ride in. Like, let's say it's Animal Kingdom. You can get over and get Flight of Passage done in that first half hour, and maybe, Everest and one other one. Maybe that third one will be happening right as people start coming in. So, you can still get a few done, So I'm mixed. I think it's a good idea. Also, the Magical Express, obviously, there's really no upside to that. They're not providing another benefit for it. I personally would be taking an Uber anyway, just because I'm more comfortable with that. But I know a lot of people are bummed about that. But, there are some benefits that they start, and there comes a point when they're going to have to change them. Or, and by changing, that doesn't always mean giving you something equal in return. Sometimes they just have to stop some services. So, that is one. We'll see once once we're into the big 50th anniversary come October, when the parks hopefully are back at full capacity and we have a lot of people. We'll see if this does affect the attendance at the on-site hotels. I have a feeling if it does affect it, and they can see that in a trend over time, that they will be offering some sort of service again. It may not be the exact same thing, but they're going to be watching to see if it affects the numbers. So the other big parks news came from Disneyland in Anaheim, California. While the parks remain closed due to COVID-19 state guidelines, Disney did announce they will be ending their current annual passport program. Predictably, this caused a stir in the online Disneyland community, but it is important to point out that Disneyland's president, Ken Potrock, promised a new AP program will be introduced when the guidelines for reopening the park allows for it. This does not mean, however, that the first phases of the reopening will have an AP program. AP annual pass, right? Will not have an annual pass program. Rather, it means that once the parks can resume to be more regular capacity and a more regular schedule open, then a full new program will be introduced. Whenever the parks can reopen, the capacity initially will be capped and likely around to about 8 to 10,000 people inside Disneyland, which is 1/5 of the regular attendance. So it's going to be really small at first. So think of that, 8 to 10,000 people a day, roughly, right? Give or take. There were, before they canceled this, well over 1 million, over a million active annual pass holders in the Anaheim area. So they needed to cancel that program before they started reopening, God knows when. Because if they didn't, the annual pass holders alone would overwhelm the capacity of the parks for months and months. So if you, just so you know, if you have paid for an annual pass for the next year, you will get a refund, and you just got to contact Disney. They were really open about full refunds. They're not going to make you jump through a bunch of hoops, and they're not going to really skim much. They're not going to be skimming stuff. They're really open about, hey, we're canceling this. I know this sucks. You guys are our loyal customers. You're still going to get some benefits because you get some discounts for being an annual pass holder in terms of food and retail. So they're going to continue that somehow. And they will be reintroducing a new plan once the parks are fully open. So, it's a bummer. And I know a lot of people who are annual pass holders who really hold that as like a sense of pride, which I understand, right? I fully understand. These parks mean a lot to people. So, it was a little disheartening. It was just another thing that changed because of the pandemic. And so, people were understandably bummed out. Right? We can be bummed out, but I think in the long run, it's all going to work out, and something else is going to be, worked out for people who want to have that freedom to come whenever they please. So, one last little thing: the Disneyland president, Ken Potrock, he took over as Disneyland president in May of this last year, so May 2020, and Disneyland had been closed since March, right? So the current president, Potrock, he has not ever been president of an active Disneyland theme park. So, I mean, this poor guy, right? He's a Disney exec, president of, one of the most famous theme parks in the world. And he, so we're not really poor Ken, but it does kind of suck, right? This dude's sitting there and he's been spending his whole first year just probably fighting with the state of California and just trying to manage and keep running an empty park. So, he seems pretty cool. He's been doing a lot of statements, and I know he's been doing a lot of interviews with a lot of fan sites. So hopefully we can get a hold of him, and he seems pretty accessible. So, that's the news regarding the annual pass holders. We also learned that longtime Disney Imagineer Kevin Rafferty will be retiring from Disney on April 1st. Rafferty's announcement comes on the heels of famed Imagineer Joe Rohde's retirement earlier this month. The two were part of a very prominent and successful group of Imagineers that brought to life some of Disney Parks' greatest projects. Personally, Rafferty had a hand in developing Cars Land in Disney California Adventure, the Tower of Terror ride and Rock and Roller Coaster in Disney's Hollywood Studios, Test Track in Epcot, Finding Nemo submarines in Disneyland, and the brand new Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which is in Disney Hollywood Studios in Florida and is coming to Disneyland in Toontown in 2 years. So that's just to name a few, right? Those are some of the big ones that he spearheaded and was part of the big team. But he's been with the Disney company, the Disney Imagineering, for 42 years. So he's had his hand in almost every other project at some level, right? So, he's amazing. He's gonna be retiring on April 1st. Rafferty's career is chronicled in his 2019 book, Magic Journey, My Fantastical Walt Disney Imagineering Career. And it's an amazing book. I finished it last week, right before he announced that he'd be retiring. So, maybe I had something to do with it. That's what my ego likes to think. So I recommend getting that. It's, again, my Magic Journey, My Fantastical Walt Disney Imagineering Career. It's on Amazon. It's a great book. It just tells, how he kind of worked his way up from dishwasher all the way up to, a legend. The Disney parks are undoubtedly more magical and more special because of Kevin Rafferty, and we all owe him a debt of gratitude. As I mentioned earlier, the Disneyland Resort in Anaheim is still closed due to COVID-19. The state of California is struggling to control outbreaks as people's pandemic fatigue really sets in. the vaccine rollout has fallen woefully below expectations from the federal government, and the fallout will mean the further closing of businesses and the continued closing of businesses. As a new administration gets sworn in this week, a fresh vaccine plan will be unveiled and large super vaccination sites will be up and running. These are wide open, large areas that will allow masses of people to flow through and receive their vaccine. In a very smart move to get on the good side of the state of California, and just generally to be a great steward and help improve the numbers in Orange County, Disneyland will be providing the large land available in their Toy Story parking lot to act as one of these vaccination sites. Orange County residents or those who work within the county will be able to receive their vaccination at this location. The faster these vaccinations can get into people's arms, the quicker the numbers will improve and the sooner the parks will open. This move by Disney has garnered widespread acclaim within the media as it is a public relations home run. It shows that Disneyland is willing to join the public fight, and their eagerness to open is not just talk. We thank Disney for offering their land and hope everyone takes advantage of this opportunity to save yourself and your loved ones and to help get these parks open, get the economy going, and get in life, back to the mundane that we miss so much. Lucasfilm, so shifting gears, Lucasfilm announced it would be developing their own gaming content under the banner Lucasfilm Games. This week, their first project was announced. It is not a Star Wars title, though. Lucasfilm Games announced that a new Indiana Jones game will be taking out the classic whip and swinging it our way. The game is being developed by the award-winning studio Machine Games and executive produced by game industry icon Todd Howard of Bethesda Games Studios. The game will tell a wholly original standalone tale set at the height of the career of the famed adventurer. There is no release date announced, but they did release a cryptic teaser trailer for the game that you can see over at thedisinsider.com. The news comes as Lucasfilm will begin production on the untitled fifth film in the Indiana Jones franchise. The film is expected to begin production this summer at Pinewood Studios in the United Kingdom. Harrison Ford returns as a titular character, with James Mangold, who is known for directing Logan, signed on to direct this film. The film is currently scheduled to hit theaters on July 29th, 2022. Deadpool fans can breathe a sigh of relief. The Disney purchase of 20th Century Fox a few years back, which is the studio that produced Deadpool films, created months of speculation and anxiety regarding the future of the Deadpool property. People were wondering, would Disney continue to make Deadpool films? If they did, would they remove the edgy adult themes that has been the trademark of the Deadpool films? Well, this week, Marvel president Kevin Feige announced that they will be making more Deadpool films and that the movies will continue with the adult themes and maintain the R rating. The films would be set in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and will become the first MCU film with an R rating. Actor Ryan Reynolds, who portrays Deadpool, is overseeing the script development, and the film is expected in 2022. During the same interview, Feige also hinted that X-Men will be brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe as well. This is another property that Disney acquired when they purchased Fox. Feige said that discussions are underway right now regarding the future of X-Men within the MCU, but he did stop short in making any official statement. So I guess technically right now that is is not been confirmed, but it is likely. Speaking of Disney and Marvel, the brand new series WandaVision debuted this past Friday with a 2-episode opener. The series will total 9 episodes and will be released every Friday. The show will tie into the next phase of the MCU, with events and storylines overlapping with future series such as Falcon and Winter Soldier, and future films such as Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. WandaVision received near universal critical acclaim, scoring a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Personally, I love the series so far, the way they simultaneously entertain us with a classic 30-minute sitcom parody, and at the same time, hook our interest with a, quote, just under the surface style mystery. I think it's just phenomenal. It reminds me of a bit of one of my favorite directors, David Lynch. Kind of the happy facade covering a sinister underbelly. I cannot wait to see where this series takes us. It gave me a lot of Blue Velvet vibes. That 80s thriller I don't know, thriller. It's not a horror. I mean, it's a thriller. And it really just gave me that vibe, right, of the glossy sheen over, facade with just right underneath the surface. There's something going on sinister and bigger that we don't know and will reveal itself. So I really loved it. And like I said, there's nine episodes. So we've had 2 now. So there's 7 more. They'll be released every Friday, once a week. So check it out if you haven't. It's on Disney Plus and will be coming episode 3 this Friday. So famed composer Michael Giacchino is set to compose the upcoming Disney Plus Marvel series Secret Invasion. Giacchino has won an Academy Award, an Emmy Award, and numerous Grammy Awards. He has scored some of the biggest films in the past 20 years, including The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Star Trek, Up, Jurassic World, Inside Out, Doctor Strange, Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, Spider-Man, Homecoming, and Jojo Rabbit. Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion is a new series coming to Disney Plus. It stars Samuel L. Jackson and Ben Mendelsohn as they reprise their roles as the former S.H.I.E.L.D. director and Skrull. Giacchino, I think, is he's absolutely brilliant. He's not John Howard. He's not. He is up and coming. He doesn't quite have the John Williams, Star Wars or Indiana Jones type, scores, but I think the work he has done is just it is so incredible. Even like the Pixar movie Up, just the music in that alone just can bring people to tears. And he's done a lot of stuff too, not just for these movies, but he also scores a lot of stuff that's inside the Disney theme parks too, which is great. He works both, in the movies, but he also does stuff for the theme park. So this is great. This is awesome. And it just continues Disney's long history with Michael Giacchino, and it's really exciting. It really elevates these upcoming Disney Plus series. Ben Affleck is bringing his directing talents to Disney as the studio. If you don't remember, Ben Affleck does have directing talents. He directed the critical hit Argo. He very famously won almost all the awards for Best Director that year, but wasn't even nominated for Best Director for the Oscar, which was a big snub. But so he's got a distinguished career in directing, and he is bringing those talents to Disney as the studio is in development on a live-action adaptation of the book series Keeper of the Lost Cities, based on the best-selling book series by Shannon Messenger. This marks the 3rd upcoming project between Disney and Ben Affleck as it joins 2 upcoming films where he acts, which includes the thriller Deep Water and the Ridley Scott period piece The Last Duel, which will star Matt Damon and Adam Driver. Both those films are expected to come out later this year, 2021. So check those out, and we'll see what happens. This book series, I am not a middle school, kid, so I didn't really know much about this, but when I was researching it, when this news came out, it's an amazingly huge hit, The Keeper of the Lost Cities. So that's great that they're going to be adapting it for Disney Plus, and that's fantastic. They got someone as big and as well known and talented as Ben Affleck to direct the series. So, as always, this week brought a number of casting announcements for upcoming projects. Matt Damon has reportedly landed in Sydney, Australia, to begin filming the 4th Thor film, which is called Thor: Love and Thunder. No announcement yet on who Matt Damon will be portraying in the film. The Taika Waititi directed project will star Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, and Natalie Portman as Jane Foster. They will also be joined by the Guardians of the Galaxy cast, which includes Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, Bradley Cooper, and Vin Diesel. Thor: Love and Thunder is currently planned to hit theaters on May 6th, 2022. 2-time Oscar nominee Ethan Hawke will join Star Wars sequel trilogy alum Oscar Isaac in the upcoming Marvel Disney Plus series Moon Knight. While we know that Hawke will be playing the main villain in the series, the actual villain, which actual villain it is still unknown. The series will also include actress May Calamawy, best known for her supporting role in Hulu's hit series Rami. Production on the series will start this March. Nathan Lane, the actor best known for his voice work on The Lion King, also for his brilliant performance in the comedy movie The Birdcage, opposite of Robin Williams, and his extraordinary career on Broadway, which includes, about probably a million different roles he's done over the years, but most notably the producers. He will be joining the cast of the upcoming Hulu series, Only Murders in the Building. It's titled Only Murders in the Building, which will be written by Steve Martin. The cast will include Steve Martin himself and Martin Short, along with Selena Gomez, Amy Ryan, and Aaron Dominguez. Nathan Lane will be playing a building resident who owns a popular New York City grocery chain. The comedy series will debut on the Disney-owned Hulu later this year. This is one I am very excited about. I've talked about this often in the last few weeks, and I will continue to talk about how excited I am for this. I love Martin Short. I love Steve Martin, and I love Nathan Lane. So that was really exciting when that came out this week. So, yeah, that's going to be a good upcoming original comedy series for Hulu. So we'll be keeping an eye out for a release date and any trailers or any more information regarding that. And now for this final casting news story. List this one, though, under the category of strong rumor, as the reporting has yet to be confirmed. But earlier this week, it was reported that actor Michael B. Jordan will be reprising his role as Killmonger in Ryan Coogler's upcoming Black Panther sequel. The sequel had been written and development was in full swing when Black Panther actor Chadwick Boseman tragically passed away last year. There has been a flurry of speculation over the plans for the sequel and the fate of the franchise. Last month, we were informed that they would not be recasting the role of Black Panther, as Boseman's character portrayal was so iconic it could not and should not be recast. The exact direction of the sequel has yet to be revealed, and this recent rumor has regenerated the speculation circus. The film currently has a July 8th, 2022 release date. We'll be keeping an eye on this project and definitely on that release date because, the entire sequel was written obviously with the intent to have, it be surround at some level the Black Panther character being portrayed by Chadwick Boseman. So with his passing and the decision not to recast Black Panther, it's going to cause, a full rewrite and a full redirection of the whole franchise. So we'll see if, they make any changes to the release date. Right now it's July 8th, 2022. We'll see. So stay tuned as we keep you updated with all that. In a bit of Walt Disney Company news, longtime studio veteran Tom McDougall has been promoted to president of Walt Disney Music. McDougall will report to Disney Studios content chairman Alan Bergman. Longtime Fox veteran Danielle Diego will continue to lead music for 20th Century Studios and Searchlight Pictures. Kaylin Frank will lead the Disney live-action team, and Matt Walker will lead the music for Disney Animation Studios. All three will report to McDougall. McDougall was hired as a department clerk in 1993 and worked his way up, step by step, through basically every level of the company. And prior to this promotion to president of Walt Disney Music, he oversaw all musical elements of Disney's and Pixar's animated features. In fact, he had worked at some part of the process. He has worked on every animated film Disney has released since The Lion King, and he has worked on every Pixar film since Toy Story. So clearly he's got a fantastic record. Congratulations to Tom McDougall. And I just love the fact, that he started in 1993, just working there at as a clerk in the department, and I love that. Worked his way up, and good for him. Definitely not a lateral move. Definitely worked his way up the company. So, according to the multi-generational leader in recording and reporting television ratings, the Nielsen Company, Disney nabbed 7 of the 10 most streamed movies for 2020. So, if any of you guys ever pay attention when you hear ratings, right? Like, oh, this show, the Super Bowl had, X number of people, or the Oscars had X number of people, or this year's Grammys was, 5 million less viewers, so the company, the primary company that records the ratings, how many people watch these shows, is always been, it's not the only one, but it's the Nielsen. So they always say the Nielsen ratings are out, or we're waiting on the Nielsen ratings. So they obviously kind of had a conundrum over the last few years because more people are shifting to streaming, so they can't clearly just use the way they used to tally people with cable and network viewing. So this year in 2020, they figured out a system that they're going to use, and they released their findings, which now includes all their capabilities to track streaming. So, of the top 10 streaming films, Disney was responsible for 7 of them, including the most streamed movie of 2020, Frozen 2. The Let It Go sequel was streamed for nearly 15 billion minutes throughout 2020. The second most streamed movie was Disney's 2016 animated hit Moana. The musical feature film was streamed for 10.5 billion minutes in the last year. The 5 other Disney films in the top 10 were Onward at number 4, Hamilton at number 6, and the live-action Aladdin remake, Toy Story 4, and Zootopia, rounding out 8, 9, and 10. These were the top 10 streamed films, period, not the top 10 family films. The list was just shows the value of nostalgia and how popular family-oriented films are in the era of streaming. This bodes very well for the future of Disney+. While people can debate which service provides the best new content, Disney+, Hulu, Netflix, HBO Max, Apple TV, Amazon, there is no question which service has the deepest and most beloved library of content. Disney Plus's back catalog is unrivaled, and that has always been the service's foundation from which to grow. Disney Plus's The Mandalorian did land in the top 10 streamed TV series, which was a list mostly dominated by Netflix. So it's just really incredible to look at that. I mean, the number 2 most streamed movie was not, a big action movie like, Avengers or Star Wars. It was not a, like one of these big tentpole like Tenet or something. It was Frozen 2, which makes sense because it was that actually in the box office was the highest grossing animated film of all time. But number 2 is Moana, like the 2016 musical, which has been obviously around for 4 or 5 years now. And it just shows you, right, that when it comes to streaming, the stuff that people are going to watch over and over and over, it's these kind of family-friendly shows, and the people that watch movies repeatedly typically are children. And when I say children, kids, right? I remember as a kid, God, what were the ones I watched? I watched The Never-Ending Story. Like, I'm surprised the tape didn't melt in the VCR, how many times I watched that movie. And, that's just how kids do it. And that's really what Disney realized in the late 80s and the 90s when it did its vault. They released films in the vault for people to purchase, is that kids love re-watching movies. And as you know, if you have kids or if you remember being a kid, they don't sit and watch it. Like, you don't sit and watch, typically you don't sit and watch Moana from, the first opening scene to the last credit, right? You watch it in bits and pieces as, it's on the background, you pop in and out. So, just really shows that's what Disney has to offer. And when I say that their back catalog is unrivaled, I'm legitimately saying even the other companies will openly admit, because they are realistic, that none of them have the back catalog that Disney has, especially when they acquired, 20th Century Studios, and they have, with Star Wars, and they have Pixar, and with Marvel and National Geographic when they got Fox, and all that back stuff, including all the Disney stuff from the 40s and 50s. No one has that back catalog, and that's the stuff that people watch repeatedly. So it was just really incredible to see, right? 7 of the top 10, and they also had The Mandalorian, which is really their only serious TV series they released in the last year. There were other ones, High School Musical, the musical, and, stuff like that. But the only real big contender was The Mandalorian. So it will be really exciting to see what shows pop up in that top 10 list next year with all the new series coming out that Disney has lined up. Remember, 15 new Marvel projects, 15 new Star Wars projects. It's going to be a huge year. So, to wrap up, I just want to remind everyone that we are conducting a months-long bracket-style tournament over at thedisinsider.com. We are calling it the Ultimate Disneyland Resort Tournament of Rides. It is a 6-round bracket-style tournament to decide the best ride at Disneyland and Disney California Adventure in Anaheim, California. Last week, we recorded over 62,000 votes over 4 days, and the round 1 winners have been announced on a special The Disney Beat podcast that I released 2 days ago. You'll see it right next to this one. along with a list of winners at the DisneyInsider.com. So you can see them, if you want to see them. And that special podcast I did 2 days ago, just a heads up, I recorded that podcast remotely. Like I took my recording equipment over and I did it socially distanced with my friend, with these 2 Disney friends I have. And it was a little overblown. The microphone was a little overblown and some of the volume levels were off. So I apologize for that. It's not quite, it's not the audio level that we have right now. And when we recap round 2 this upcoming Friday, it will match this audio quality, and we'll make sure that we don't have any of those issues that we had 2 days ago. So, it's still very listenable and it's still great content, but it is a little overblown and it's just something we couldn't fix in post. So we do apologize for that. But for round 2, it starts all this week. The voting does, and you can vote for the matchups at the DisneyInsider.com. You can also vote at my Twitter handle at Sean Nyberg, all one word, at Sean, Sean, Nyberg, Nyberg. The website's Twitter handle, which is at the DisneyInsider. Or you can go to our Facebook and Instagram pages, which is just by searching the DisneyInsider. So you can go to all those different places, the website, the 2 Twitter handles, Facebook and Instagram, and you can vote in all the round 2 matchups this whole week. So we'll be announcing the winners of round 2 this Friday in a much cleaner and fresh sounding podcast here at the Disney Beat. So come check those out. Come let your voices be heard and see the results. It's pretty amazing to see what these head-to-head matchups, and some of the bigger rides like Splash Mountain and Star Wars, the Matterhorn and Credicoaster, Guardians of the Galaxy, Mission Breakout, Radiator Springs Racers, which is the ride over in Cars Land. Those big rides all got a bye in the first round. So this second round this week is when all the big boys and the big girls and the big non-binary rides are they're all stepping up, and so it'll be really fun to see kind of how they do once they get in the mix. So come check that out, come vote, come look at the results. It's really fun to see. So I hope you guys do that. Also, just real quick, I'd love for you guys to visit the DisneyInsider.com to see a number of specials, special features that were written, and some stories I didn't cover here, which include a piece called 10 more stage shows that should be added to Disney Plus. This was a special written by one of our writers that followed another article he wrote, which was 10 stage shows that should be added to Disney, which he talks about all the stage shows, like the Broadway style shows that are that have been produced or will be produced once they start opening again, that should be recorded and added to Disney Plus like they did with Hamilton, because that was such a huge hit for Disney Plus and brought in so many new subscribers. So they go through it's now 20 because it's 2 specials, 10 each, and they talk about all the different productions that Disney should think about recording and releasing on their streaming service. Also, if you go to the Disney Insider, you'll see new photos that were taken from the upcoming Spider-Man 3 film. They got some photos from the set that are available to look at. And you can also see the first trailer for the upcoming Disney Plus movie, Flora and Ulysses, which looks so cute. And my niece loves animals, and it's about this squirrel, and it just looks really cute. And so you can see the trailer over there at the website too. And also, there's 2 great features that look back on the animated film Mulan and the animated film Hercules. So check those out over at the DisneyInsider.com. On behalf of myself and those of us here at the Disney Beat, along with all of my friends and myself over at the Disney Insider, we wish everyone good health and prosperity. With that, I want to say thank you for listening. If you like the show, please rate and review it wherever you listen. These ratings really help the show find new listeners, and we hope we have earned a 5-star rating. We also ask that you share this podcast with friends who love Disney. All stories can be found at thedisneyinsider.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Sean Nyberg, all one word, at Sean Nyberg. Thank you again for listening, and I will see you here again next week for another edition of the Disney Beat Podcast. My name is Sean Nyberg, and have a fantastic week.